Stop what you're doing, ladies and gentlemen, because Atlanta has now become a live-action soap opera that was penned by the devil himself. What happens when a woman in the midst of a storm, a side character with a frail ego, and an ostensibly faithful spouse clash in public? You get the most tumultuous confrontation that reality TV could never plan. Yes, exactly. Tony is humiliated by Papoose, rich over Claressa in public. Additionally, security personnel in the fallout were running around like they were trying out for the Olympics. But hold on, are we truly shocked? Or should this have been obvious to us all along? It was just a matter of time until fistfights broke out when you combine Tony Rich's desperate need to stay relevant with Papoose's no-nonsense street respect words, and anarchy broke out. According to witnesses, the scenario appeared more like WrestleMania with poor lighting than a random run-in. People pushing one another, yelling in crowds, and using cell phones to record the chaos for Instagram reels. This brings us to the actual query. Was this only a brawl? Or was this the ultimate form of retaliation? Play. In a plot twist that no one requested, Papoose publicly executed Tony's pride, with Claressa in the center. Has the saying "Atlanta never sleeps" ever crossed your mind? Well, Atlanta did more than simply remain awake during this controversy. Before the police arrived, it yelled, videotaped, and posted everything to TikTok. Because this wasn't just a haphazard altercation outside a bar. Did we just watch Tony Rich's career evaporate in real time? Was the question raised by this complete public humiliation. Let's take it back. Suddenly, Papoose, a man whose name has always been associated with devotion, lyrical reverence, and that unpretentious Brooklyn vibe, found himself confronted by Tony Rich, the fiancé of the self-styled businessman/florist who couldn't even make it through brunch without causing trouble. The scene: a purportedly serene Atlanta location. The truth: a conflict zone. Before chaos broke out, witnesses claimed to have heard Claressa say, "Let's just keep it civil." Civil, of course, wasn't. The worst part is about to come. Papoose and Tony Rich did not just cross paths. According to sources, he had been waiting for the right opportunity to cause a stir. We learned from anonymous direct messages that Tony had been boasting all week about putting Papoose in his place. "Watch what happens when I see him in public," one purported source commented. "I'm going to fall in love with Camera," and Camera did fall in love with him for all the wrong reasons. The atmosphere changed the moment Tony attempted to confront Papoose about Claressa. Phones emerged. Security leaned forward. Everyone knew that something historic was going to happen. So the bartenders stopped pouring. It was anticipated that Papoose would change the course of events and make Tony appear like a gossip blog headline. Witnesses compared the incident to a scene from a movie. Papoose stood there calmly, almost pleased, like a teacher waiting for a pupil to embarrass himself, while Tony puffed up his chest and shouted something about Claressa being his. Then it took place. Papoose didn't even must swing first. He employed his presence, his words, and his sarcasm. He allegedly remarked, "Man, you ain't even her first mistake." The crowd then went crazy. Within minutes, that one line went viral. Reaction gifs were slapped with it by meme pages. Twitter blew out. As if it were Black Friday, hashtag her first mistake was suddenly trending in Atlanta. Before security even touched Tony Rich, he had already burned to ashes. However, let's not act as though this feud just arose. No, this has been developing for years. Let's go back. Powerhouse athlete and unrepentant Queen Claressa Shields has experienced her share of messy headlines. And Tony always manages to paint himself as the bad guy when her private life spills into the spotlight. You recall when he supposedly made fun of Papoose in a podcast by remarking, "Some dudes only survive on their wife's name?" Well, that was remembered. In addition, last year's anonymous leaks were while he was engaged to Claressa, Tony allegedly exchanged flirtatious texts to several women. The screenshots appeared to have been typed on a Nokia phone. Scandal, however, doesn't wait for clarification. Claressa said nothing. Despite online debates, the receipts were permanently engraved on the internet. Thus, when Tony was given the opportunity to confront Papoose, you think a man who is known for standing up for his queen will arrive dignified. Incorrect. His ego, which doesn't win battles, was his weapon. In front of a live audience, ego is crushed. Imagine turmoil during the actual combat. Shouting rubbish about being Claressa's actual man, Tony lunges forward. The sight of Papoose, Tony stutters into a table like a rejected extra in a Tyler Perry play, scarcely moving. People scream, drinks fly, and someone shouts, "World star," from the background because they obviously did. Papoose says another line before security rushes in. This one is even cooler. "You continue to fight for her spotlight. I continue to shine in mine." Boom. The second internet explosion. Within the hour, TikTok edits were released, intercutting slow-motion video showing Tony tripping with Papoose's statements. Overnight, the hashtag #ShiningMine had 2 million views. According to some reports, however, this wasn't at all random. A leaked email claims that we completely missed it. It's possible that VH1 producers had cameras close by. Yes, exactly. There are rumors that this public altercation was conveniently captured on video, rather than simply shaky iPhone snippets. Is it a coincidence? Or is reality TV planning its next surge in viewers? Quote from an unnamed crew member: "The producers had been hankering after a brawl. They were successful in achieving their goals. However, even they were surprised that Tony would be humiliated in that way." Translation: Papoose flipped the board, burnt it, and left with the queen, even though Tony might have believed he was playing chess. Additionally, if you believe the don't think that the fight was the end of the humiliation. The public's response was brutal. There were memes that compared Tony to wig-wearing clowns. Another tweet that went viral said, "Imagine fighting Papoose over Claressa and still losing the crowd. Brutal." Another said, "Tony Rich got rich in embarrassment, broke in respect. Claressa remained mute. No statements, no posts." Silence, however, talks loudly. Fans conjectured that she was too preoccupied with munching on popcorn while observing the mayhem. Others asserted that she was avoiding Tony's breakdown because she felt ashamed. In any case, her lack of response just fueled the flames. The controversy escalated so quickly that side angles were being created by gossip blogs. Did Papoose arrange this in secret? Was Claressa used as bait for a larger scheme? Did Tony believe that this was his chance to make a comeback? Like Tony's others, the theories grew in number. It gets darker here, though. According to claimed sources close to Tony, he had more than just physical bruises from the encounter. His commercial dealings suffered. According to reports, one promoter canceled a partnership due to poor optics. Insiders said that Claressa's team was already debating whether keeping Tony on board was worth the PR disaster after a local brand discreetly pulled him from an endorsement. Let's piece this together. Collectively, Tony Rich, who was formerly engaged to a famous person and is already dealing with rumors of adultery, chooses to publicly face Papoose. He believes it will give him a strong appearance. Rather, he is made into a meme, clowned, and humiliated. Papoose, unfazed, he leaves with greater respect than before. Claressa, meantime, was stuck in the center, with her name becoming a global craze. Here's the catch, though. The first domino was this one. Because even as Tony was tending to his wounds and probably his pride, the aftermath was already getting worse. The real war hadn't ended by the time security pulled Tony out and the mob subsided. It had only barely begun. Because the fight appeared to be a warm-up due to what transpired after the public humiliation. On the internet, there were startling disclosures about Tony's next plans, anonymous leaks, and behind-the-scenes rumors. All of a sudden, this went beyond a simple altercation. It was about survival, money, and reputations. Assuming that Tony Riches don't believe that public humiliation was the culmination. That was only the first act. After the dust settled, the true nightmare started. Tony was thrown out by security. Additionally, social media did what it does best: make a sloppy altercation into a world-renowned circus. Hashtags weren't merely trending within hours. They were in control. Because apparently professionals required and were on the T2, hashtag Tony down, hashtag shining in mine, and the especially vicious hashtag Papoose pulled no punches swept over LinkedIn, Instagram, and Twitter. It was a cultural event rather than merely a controversy. This is where things start to go crazy. Leaks from unknown sources began to fall like deadly wedding confetti. Emails, voice memos, and screenshots are purportedly linking Tony Rich to a more serious disaster than anyone anticipated. One exclusive leak said that Tony had been boasting in group chats about his plans to ruin Papoose's reputation and make Claressa appear to have made a poor choice. Check for irony. His own reputation was the only one ruined that evening. However, the leaks continued. Another alleged insider made a shocking revelation. Tony had apparently been spending too much of Claressa's money on business ventures that strangely resembled opulent holidays. There were receipts found that showed hotel stays in Miami, flights to Dubai, and a bill for 27 bottles of champagne at a nightclub in Vegas. To top it all off, the card that was purportedly used wasn't Tony's. Claressa's business account was connected to it. Let the indignation begin. The crowd went wild. Tony Rich? More like Tony broke, a Twitter user commented. While Tony's camp frantically worked, another tweeted, "Imagine humiliating yourself in public and then getting exposed for being a financial parasite. Savage." Another said, "Living off Claressa's credit card." He shared a hazy story on Instagram. White letters on a black screen. "The reality is unknown to you all. PR classic. Issue? No one purchased it." With captions like this next to screenshots of the purported receipts, memes quickly dragged him. The purported voice note release followed. On Reddit, a muted audio clip appeared. After the fight, Tony allegedly yelled at a friend, "They consider Papoose to be a king. He was fortunate that I slid. I'll bring it up again next time." Whether the clip was authentic or not, it went viral. All of a sudden, Tony wasn't being made fun of. They feared that he would become more aggressive. For days, Claressa's stillness was deafening. Nothing. No rebuttal, no comment, no post endorsing Tony. Furthermore, no tweet is as loud in the world of gossip as silence. Fans conjectured that she was severing connections. Some blogs asserted she never followed Tony on Instagram, while others said she unfollowed him. In any case, it was clear that she had no defense. However, the scandal wasn't limited to the web. Consequences in the real world began to mount. According to reports, Tony was barred from future events by local promoters. We were informed by an unnamed promoter that no one is attempting to book drama. He was ashamed of himself. You can't sell that. Another claimed that he was dismissed from a relationship with a high-end men's grooming company due to hazardous optics. Papoose, meanwhile, is untouchable. His shares shot up in value. He was praised as the king of composure on blogs. His composed clapbacks were praised by fans. Celebrities even voiced their opinions. Papoose been real since day one. One rapper wrote on Twitter, "Tony lost the battle, the respect, and the plot. But just when everyone thought it was over, more mayhem broke out. Dude don't even get a swing. He wins with words." There was a report that Tony wasn't finished and intended to sue Papoose for public humiliation, emotional suffering, and defamation. Yes, you heard correctly. Now the individual who caused the mayhem wants the courts to feel sorry for him. Immediately, legal analysts, the phony ones on YouTube anyway, jumped on it. A video that went viral called "Can Tony Actually Sue Papoose?" used exaggerated hand gestures to break down the scenario, motions and trap music in the background. The drama was too delicious to miss, but the ending was probably not. Conspiracy theories followed, since a scandal isn't complete without a dash of paranoia. The entire confrontation was manufactured, according to several supporters. Consider it. Cameras simply happened to be there, according to one Reddit discussion. Who gains when Tony is humiliated yet the tale goes viral? H1. The script was most likely written by them. Others didn't believe it. If it was scripted, Tony wouldn't have looked that dumb. He's really just that bad at life, retorted one reader. But it got even worse from here. Hints of a romantic triangle. Tony wasn't only upset with Papoose for Claressa, according to anonymous direct messages. Because Claressa apparently confided in Papoose about their relationship issues, he felt insecure. Was it accurate? No one is aware. If that was true, did anyone care? Not at all. It was impossible to ignore the wonderful rumor. Tony was now in danger of losing his reputation. Then the gossip about the hospital began. According to several sources, Tony required medical care following the altercation, not due to blows to the face. Recall, Papoose hardly moved, but he reportedly spiraled due to the panic episode brought on the embarrassment. Naturally, Tony denied it, but one headline even said, "Tony Ridge checked into our after public embarrassment meltdown." Another Instagram tale with a black screen. Don't misrepresent me. Fans, however, weren't persuaded. The meme, which now depicts him laying in a medical bed with a L in place of information, stumbled. According to reports, Claressa's staff was advising her to keep her distance during this time. According to one fictitious insider, they're advising her, "Cut him loose. He's dead. Wait, focus on your brand." Another allegation stated that she was already acting behind the scenes in order to rebuild her own self-image without Tony. Translation: Tony may be out of Claressa's entire public relations apparatus in addition to her heart. Even so, Tony refused to go in silence. On the internet, his supporters, yes, the three left, argued that Papoose was harassing him. Most people were unforgiving, but some said Tony was the true victim since social media pulled him too hard. One tweet that went viral encapsulated it. "Tony Rich aspired to fame. Well done. You're well known for getting made fun of." The fight was more than simply a fight by this point. It was a cultural phenomenon, a symbol, and a reality TV fever dream that was better written by no producer. Beneath the chuckles, however, there was actual turmoil developing, friendships dissolving, business deals collapsing, and rumors of more serious scandals to come. The problem with public humiliation is that it never ends where it begins. Furthermore, Tony's altercation with Papoose may have set off a chain of secrets that are ready to destroy him if the rumors and leaks are accurate. Because a startling new revelation appeared on the blogs at the same time that Tony's world was falling apart. Something so unanticipated and disorganized that it didn't simply bring Tony down. Claressa, Papoose, and everyone else involved were in danger of being dragged into the maelstrom. And an awkward altercation escalated into a major catastrophe when that leak surfaced. Thus, precisely when as if Tony Rich had reached his lowest point, the floor suddenly collapsed, sending him plummeting even further. The startling discovery. According to a document that was posted online, Tony wasn't merely making a fool of himself. According to reports, he was involved in a covert financial scandal concerning the Claressa brand. The purported internal document that was leaked from Claressa, the management staff stamped the document as confidential. It detailed questionable withdrawals from joint accounts that were all connected to Tony. The figures were astounding. Tens of thousands of dollars were purportedly used for personal costs that pretended to be jewelry, expensive cars, and, wait for it, cryptocurrency investments in meme coins. Yes, it seems that Tony believed that investing Claressa's money in Doge imitators was the way to go. As a spoiler, it wasn't. The fans went crazy. Timelines were overrun with memes. Tony's face was superimposed over a sinking Bitcoin logo in one of the most popular TikToks, which read, "Claressa's portfolio after Tony played financial genius." Another said, "Man couldn't even invest in love, let alone crypto savage." When a phony but convincingly leaked voicemail was released, the situation only became worse. "Please don't tell her about the withdrawals," a voice purportedly belonging to Tony pleaded with Claressa's assistant. "This is bigger than Papoose. I swear I'll flip the investment." Claressa's silence broke, but not in the way Tony had planned. Rather than standing up for him, she shared a series of cryptic, well-executed brand shots on Instagram with statements like, "Protect your peace, build your empire, cut off dead weight." Supporters immediately saw it as a sis didn't just cut ties. One commenter remarked in response to "break up" without using the word breakup. She tossed the entire rope. Another, "Your walking papers were issued on Instagram, Tony." The hospital twist followed. Recall the humiliation. Rumors about a meltdown intensified, with blogs posting headlines like, "Tony Rich spotted entering ICU after emotional breakdown," and paparazzi-style images of a man who resembled Tony being wheeled into a medical facility with his face covered. Whether this was staged or real, the optics were disastrous. Papoose, on the other hand, was prospering. He shared a laid-back picture of himself and pals having supper with the comment, "Peace is priceless." King behavior, fans wrote in the comments section. Papoose rose, Tony spiraled, and the difference could not have been more stark. But let's not overlook the instability that was still simmering. When an insider whispered to a blog that another cast member was secretly pregnant, the rumor of a second pregnancy went off like a bomb. The alleged father was allegedly the same man Claressa was tied to, which translates to Tony Rich. Yes, he was burning his personal life down while drowning in humiliation. As if it were the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Twitter was ablaze with threads that mapped out Tony's baby mama universe. One post with 50,000 likes read, "This man out here is creating spin-offs nobody asked for." Another said, "Someone got him a family tree app ASAP." By this point, the scandal was more than just embarrassing. It was toxic radiation leaking into every part of ATL rumors, brand agreements fell through, even casual acquaintances were unfollowing, screenshots of celebrities unfollowing became news, and one blog headline read, "Tony loses 50K followers in 24 hours. Papoose makes $100,000. Tony wasn't on the winning side when the internet officially took sides. But the mayhem wasn't over yet because the government entered the conversation. According to a widely shared thread, authorities might launch an investigation into Tony's finances in light of the leaked claims that he had misused Claressa's accounts. Was this true? I'm not sure. Did people believe it? Definitely. That's the power of rumor. Drama is required, truth is optional. Fake legal experts made an appearance. YouTube lawyers with 300K subscribers posted analyses such as, "Could Tony be imprisoned for Claressa's funds?" According to insiders, Claressa's staff started rebranding strategy sessions in an attempt to shift the focus from the controversy to her sporting accomplishments. Their response was always maybe, but the thumbnails showed Tony in handcuffs. The damage was done. While tactfully removing Tony from all stories, one leaked email even recommended that future press releases characterize her as self-sufficient and growth-oriented. Translation: Tony, in a desperate attempt to regain prominence, reportedly contemplated doing a candid interview. According to one rumor, he contacted a gossip blog, offering exclusive information in return for favorable attention. According to reports, the blog abandoned him. Savage. The public's response was harsh with memes, jokes, and parodies. Tony had become the newest clown in pop culture. TikTok creators used toy figurines to recreate the fight, and Twitter users posted threads headlined "The Rise and Fall of Tony Rich." Even Facebook joined in, posting comments along the lines of, "That boy needs discipline and prayer." The final nail in the coffin, however, was a suspected lawsuit from Claressa herself. According to blogs, she was thinking of suing Tony for emotional anguish and financial malfeasance. Was this true? Perhaps not. Imagine catching hands from Papoose LS on Twitter and a lawsuit from Claressa. Pack it up, Tony. As the scandal escalated to a nuclear level, a final twist was revealed. Whispers that Tony might leave Atlanta completely. One insider told a reporter that the rumor alone was enough to send fans into a frenzy. Gossip website, he feels ashamed. He is discussing moving to another city to start over. No, he's too dependent on clout, said another. He will return. With a YouTube channel most likely. In any case, the harm was done and Tony had become the public face of the twisted beauty of this story is that it wasn't simply a fight. It was a warning that chasing power might backfire. Claressa came out of the fight looking stronger, and Papoose didn't even have to move a finger. The man stood tall while his enemies destroyed themselves. What does that leave us with? After all, in the world of reality TV scandals, nobody is immune to the fury of the internet. Tony is supposedly broke, Claressa is apparently planning her next move, and Papoose is quietly celebrating a triumph, but here's the worst part. Anonymous, according to rumors, this isn't the end. There is a bigger scandal that could pull everyone, Tony, Claressa, and even Papoose, into a storm that is bigger than this one. If that leak is real, believe me when I say that the chaos we've witnessed thus far is only the prelude. And there you have it. The scandal is so wild and chaotic that it makes every previous love and hip-hop mess look like a Sunday school picnic. We saw Tony Rich fall apart in real time, allegedly broken and publicly humiliated, while Claressa left with her empire intact and her crown polished. Then, without any effort, Papoose became the internet's chosen king. But the real question is this the end? Think about it. If the rumors are accurate, Tony isn't finished falling. There are alleged lawsuits, financial scandals, baby mama chaos, and rumors of a new bombshell that could bring down the entire Atlanta scene. Do you really think Mona Scott Young will let this story end quietly? Let's throw it over to you. Do you think Tony truly messed up Claressa's suitcase with those dubious withdrawals? Was Papoose's silence the most deadly act of all? Is Claressa going to turn this story into her own? Reality TV thrives on suffering, tears, and mayhem, and Tony just gave them a lifetime supply. Biggest PR victory to date? Or do you think the larger scandal that is in the works will completely change the course of events? Please share your most outrageous theories in the comments section. I'd love to hear about everything from secret double lives to baby shower fights. If you enjoy watching the mighty fall, hit the like button. To ensure you don't miss the next shocking revelation, click subscribe. I assure you that in this perverse world of love, treachery, and mayhem, the next news story is already being composed. Don't be quiet. Remain disorganized. Continue to observe.